All right, guys, we are live. It is. Ooh, haha. It's Thursday, the 29th of February, and I got a great show for you. I almost forgot what day it was. Yeah. Right now, we actually have dueling presidents going on. We have Donald Trump in Texas, and we also have Joe Biden also in Texas. Donald Trump's up right now, so we're just going to cut over to him. Here we go.
Brandon Judd has been a friend from day one. He knew what we were all about and knew what we were saying and doing, and I think we were ahead of our time. And General Thomas Sulzer was somebody that was always right there and understands this Texas military department about as well as you could have. I think he understands war, because that's what you're in. You're in a war. And William Mike Norby, you know who he is, and he's been fantastic. It's
We're
just
actually in lots of wars, guys. Lots and lots of wars.
I might ask Brandon to say a couple of words, because right at the beginning we were into it. We saw what was happening, and the governor was there, and then he really stepped it up. It's been amazing. I came when I was lucky enough to receive his endorsement.
Felix?
I endorsed him also, and very proudly endorsed him. And a lot of things have happened in the last little while, but this is an incredible operation. Brandon, would you like to say a couple of words, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I want you to know, your agents, my agents, they're mad as hell. Absolutely mad that President Biden went to Brownsville, Texas, rather than going to Arizona,
And we're going to be going to that as soon as it happens.
Going to San
We've
Diego,
also got
California,
lots of
rather
news,
than coming
lots
to
of
Eagle
news.
Pass, Texas, which has been the epicenter. What President Trump has seen right here is he's seen how his policies have worked, but he's also seen how he can expand upon those policies once he goes back into the White House. He has seen how Governor Abbott has been able to use his policies to secure this specific area, the epicenter of the last 2 years of the illegal border crisis that we have had to endure. And your agents, President, they are pissed. Border Patrol agents are upset that we cannot get the proper policy that is necessary to protect human life, to protect American citizens, to protect the people that are crossing the border illegally. We want to protect them as well. And we can't do that because President Biden's policies continue to invite people across here. Thank goodness we have a governor like Governor Abbott. Thank goodness we have somebody that's willing to run for President of the United States, forgo everything else that he's been doing to serve the American people.
Our current president, Joe Biden, is encouraging these people to swim across rivers and walk across deserts. And he's really killing a lot of people, you know, not just with his vaccine policies that, you know, have led to hundreds, if not thousands, of people potentially dying. Young, fit people, right, potentially, allegedly, are being killed by vaccines, right? Not only that, but the thousands of migrants that he's killing as they make the dangerous crossing into the United States.
Country's ever had, probably the most incompetent president we've ever had.
We're back.
But it's allowing thousands and thousands of people to come in from China, Iran, Yemen, the Congo, Syria, and a lot of other nations. Many nations
They're
are
not
very
sending
friendly
their
to
best,
us.
guys. What's going on, fandom?
The entire columns of fighting-aged men, and they're all at a certain age, and you look at them and say, they look like warriors to me. Something's going on that's bad. Now the United States is being overrun by the Biden migrant crime. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. It's migrant crime. We call it Biden migrant crime, but that's a little bit long. So we'll just leave it. But every time you hear the term migrant crime, you know where that comes from. Allowing thousands and thousands and actually millions and millions of people to come. Could be 15 million, could be 18 million by the time he gets out of office, because hopefully the biggest risk we have is 9 months.
Randy
It's a
Martin,
long time
no
a lot
see,
of bad
buddy.
things can happen. I always say in speeches and rallies, it's if you take the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country and you added them all up, all of the problems, all of the lousy jobs they've done, you can add them all up. It's not as bad as this one man has done for our country. What he's done to our country is he's destroying our country. We were just talking before. The general was saying, he can't believe what's happening. He can't believe it. It's so sad. Last year, almost half of all ICE arrests were criminal aliens charged for more than 33,000 assaults, 3,000 robberies, 6,900 burglaries, 7,500 weapons crimes. This is all migrant crime.
A murder, too.
4,300 sex crimes, 1,600 kidnappings, and 1,700 homicides and murders. These are the people that are coming into our country. And they're coming from jails, and they're coming from prisons, and they're coming from mental institutions, and they're coming from...
Using Trump's own numbers, 15 million people, and only 100,000 of them have committed crimes. That's a very low percentage, right? We're talking about around 0.7%. Basically, 7 out of 1,000 people that come across the border commit crimes. 8,000, something like that.
Insane asylums, and they're terrorists. They're being let into our country, and it's horrible. It's horrible. And, you know, I know many of the leaders of these other countries that are doing it, and it's not just South America.
Oh, yeah, they
it's all over
suppress
the world.
this
The
channel,
Congo,
bro.
a very big population coming in from jails from the Congo. You look at the jails now, you take a look at the jails throughout the region, but more importantly, throughout the world. They're emptying out because they're dumping them into the United States. And these guys try and make like, oh, isn't it wonderful? They don't have a clue. I think they're looking for votes. They're looking for something. Nobody's really been able to tell me how anybody could want it. You know, you're always in business. You always want to understand the other side. You want to figure it out so you can do something that's good or bad, depending on what you're looking for. But nobody can
illegal
explain
immigrants
to me,
poison the blood of the U.S.
Because everybody I speak to says how
that's
horrible
an opinion
it is. Nobody
for sure.
can explain to me how allowing
Illegal
millions
immigrants,
of
yes.
people from
Illegal
places
immigration
unknown, from countries unknown,
is bad, right? Because we don't have any way of verifying who these people are, right? Not only that, it opens up our border to Chinese spies, jihadis, and all that, right? So, yes, but again, I have to say, the Mexicans, the Guatemalans are generally good people. The ones I've met personally.
We don't speak languages. We have languages coming into our country. We have nobody that even speaks those languages. They're truly foreign languages. Nobody speaks them. And they're pouring into our country, and they're bringing with them tremendous problems, including medical problems. As you know, we had Title II, and we had different things to solve that problem, but they've terminated all of that. Even the judge couldn't believe it. The judge said, no, you can't do that. It would be horrible to do that, and he let it go. But he said in 6 months it expires, and it expired, and that's it. So I just think you're doing an incredible job. Just 1 week ago, a beautiful 22-year-old nursing student from Georgia
It's sad.
was
It's sad. We're actually
barbarically
going to go to that
attacked,
here in just a
almost
second.
unrecognizable, while she was out on her morning run. She was doing keep herself in shape. She was a beautiful young woman. She was a great person, best nursing student
She was
there
like
was.
a 6 or 7.
I spoke to her
5,
parents
6.
yesterday. They're
She's in great
incredible
shape,
people.
though.
They're devastated beyond belief. But she was beautiful, just so beautiful in so many ways, and brutally assaulted, horrifically beaten.
Yeah, beaten
kidnapped
to death,
and savagely
like
murdered.
disfigured. It's terrible.
The monster that charged in the death is an illegal alien migrant who was led into our country and released into our communities by crooked Joe Biden. He's crooked.
Disgusting
I took
what they
the name
did to that
away
poor
from
woman.
Hillary because
what
she's
he
no
did.
longer relevant, I guess. She was terrible, but he is what
And
he
you guys know that the migrant that killed that college student was reported locally as a white man that was a resident of Athens, Georgia. It wasn't reported as an illegal Mexican. It was a white dude that was a resident of Athens. Isn't that crazy? Of course that's what they would say, right? We all know.
What he's doing is just unbelievable. Joe Biden will never say Laken Riley's name, but we will say it and we will remember it. We're not going to forget her. It's been just a horrible story that we've had to live with for the last few days. It's hard to believe. And her parents are just, they can never be the same. Great people. Just 4 days ago, an illegal alien in Louisiana was arrested for brutally raping a 14-year-old girl while holding a knife to her
that's
throat.
fucked up.
And he then allegedly robbed a man who was getting out of his car in front of his home and repeatedly stabbed him in the face, in the back, in the face many, many times before police found this person standing in the middle of a street, all covered with blood, standing over the blood of the man he was attacking. Last year, a sadistic illegal alien criminal who was released into our country by Joe Biden was arrested for raping an 11-year-old girl and strangling her to death in Pasadena, Texas. And shortly before she was murdered, she texted her father that someone was knocking at the door. He arrived home from work and found his daughter's body stuffed in a laundry basket underneath the bed. Horrible. Crooked Joe is the blood of countless innocent victims. It's so many stories to tell, so many horrible stories. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in history. Brandon was saying it. The general was saying it.
That's true, Felix. Humans are vicious animals.
And people weren't coming because they knew they weren't going to get in. And we weren't promising free education, free medical, free everything. I mean, all the promises that are made.
Right? It's only like 1 or 2% of the people in the world that does all these horrible things.
No wonder they come. I mean, you look at what this Governor Newsom from California, isn't that his name? What he's done to California is unbelievable.
Most people are
People
good.
are pouring in. They think they're going to get medical aid.
Or
and
at
our
least
soldiers,
want
our
to
vets
be
aren't
good. I
being
mean,
taken
not everyone
care of.
is good all
But
the time.
people that
You
come
know what
into
I'm
our
trying to
country
say.
illegally are. We ended catch and release. We built 571 miles of border wall, much more than I promised I'd build. And in addition, we purchased another 200 miles, and they sold that, much of it for 5 cents on the dollar. And it's the best wall, the same wall that you're using, because the governor's now building a lot of wall also. And it works. Walls work. Walls and wheels, I always said. It's one thing never gets obsolete, a wall and a wheel. Everything else is obsolete about 2 weeks after you come up with it. And we got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers to
the president, he's always
take care
got
of our border.
singers.
We had the safest border in the history of our country. And now, outside of this area where Texas has done an amazing job, and in a pretty short period of time, they're going to have it all covered. They have just been incredible. The operation that they showed me is nothing less than incredible. And I'll say this, it's a military operation. I mean, we have a military.
Yeah, well, when I was a little kid, I used to bite people too.
This is like a war.
I didn't know any better.
Operation. So we had remain in Mexico. Remember that? You can't come into our country, and Mexico agreed to it.
That was a good policy. It worked very well.
Safe third agreements, asylum bans, Title 42, and rapid removals. But Title 42 was so important, rapid removal so important. But the best was remain in Mexico. You stay in Mexico. We had catch and release in Mexico. We had catch before that. It was catch and release a criminal, and they released him in the United States. We had no more catch and release. Our catch and release was we released them in Mexico. And if you broke the law, we caught you, we deported you, or we did something else. But we were doing a great job, and that's where it stood.
I wonder
and then
what
we
the
had an
something else
election
was.
that we ended up getting many millions of more votes than we did. We did much better in 2020 than we ever even thought about doing in 2016. And very bad things
And you're going to do better in
From that moment on,
2024.
it was a whole different ballgame in Texas and all over. But the governor in Texas picked up the ball, and they've done an incredible job. And I'll tell you, it's an honor to be here. I brought some people here, some executives from New York, because they're marveling at it too. And you're doing your job. Now we have to find out what's going on the side, each side, because Arizona's not doing their job. You have a Democrat, liberal, or more than that, governor that probably doesn't want to do anything. So people are just pouring in through Arizona, and they're pouring in through
California.
the beautiful state, the once beautiful state, still beautiful, I guess, but they have a lot of crime and a lot of problems, California, because the governor's
That's
not
where
doing
all
his
the
job in California. He's doing a
Chinese
terrible
spies are
job. He
just
talks a
walking
good game.
through. Is anybody shocked? Is anybody shocked that Chinese spies are coming through by the thousands in California right now? Right now, this very minute, there are Chinese walking across the border into California. Is anyone shocked by that?
You know, he talks about how wonderful things are, but he's wrong. And they have a big outflow of people that pay taxes, people that don't commit crime. They're leaving. A lot of them are leaving. So I just want to thank the governor. I want to thank this incredible group of talent behind me. And we just went through something very, very special. We did a tour, and we did it through all sorts of cameras. They're all over the place. I don't know. They're in the sky. They're in satellites. They're on the top of those light poles. They're all over the place. And you really have it done, and I'm very appreciative of it, Governor. You did a great job, and you're my friend, and it's an honor to have your support and your endorsement, and likewise me to you. Thank you very much. Great to be here. Thank you.
Shocked? No. Disappointed?
Well, first of all,
yes.
thank you, President
All right, that
Trump,
was
for being back.
my president, your president, the actual president, Donald J. Trump, appearing in Texas at the border, delivering a dueling press conference. Now we have Joe Biden should be coming out eventually. I don't know what his deal is. Normally he's pretty punctual. A lot of times he's early. That's why we started this a little bit early. Right now he's currently 3 minutes late. I don't know. Maybe it's his staff, telling him it looks bad if you're on time. It makes you look like a white supremacist or something. I don't know. I don't know how these people think. I just know that they're ridiculous, right? Okay, now speaking of ridiculous, here is the mayor of Athens, Georgia, right? And he's about to be heckled. I mean, it's beautiful. Not only heckled, but like rebuked by his own citizens in what can only be called an epic takedown. Let's watch it.
I've received many calls, many emails, many queries from the press in recent days about this notion of a sanctuary city, and so I want to lay some things to rest here today. This term sanctuary city doesn't have a sole legal or procedural definition. You can look in Georgia statute and you can find a clear definition for a unified government. You can look in contractual language and you can find out exactly what it means to be an SEC institution. Sanctuary city doesn't track with either of those. And so that term means different
things. He's arguing semantics. He's saying we're not a sanctuary city because we don't meet the predefined definition of a sanctuary city. However, in our city of Athens, Georgia, we won't work with Customs and Border Patrol. We won't allow anyone to deport anyone, yada, 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 right? We may not be a federally sanctioned sanctuary city, but we fit all our actions are the actions of a sanctuary city.
To different people depending on the context of the discussion.
Right? It's all about context and semantics with these Democrats. They're never guilty. They're never wrong. You just don't understand the context. And we're going to change the definitions of words around, right? And that's what they do. We're going to change the definitions of words, and we're gonna sprinkle a bunch of bullshit on it to make you guys gaslighted into thinking that you're crazy.
We know what
Many-
it means.
Many of the elements.
Liar.
Many of the elements.
Exactly.
Liar.
Liar.
We
Liar.
are here
Look
to
at his
listen.
face.
Liar.
You're a liar.
We are here to listen.
Liar.
There'll be time for
You're a liar.
They're
questions.
here to listen. No, they're not. Yeah. They're here to dress you down, sir.
You are guilty and got blood on your head.
You got
for
blood
this
on your
murder,
hand.
Sir.
Many of the aspects that are ascribed to sanctuary cities
We know what sanctuary
are
city
things
means.
that are disallowed by Georgia law.
Sanctuary policy, which is
Yo, so you're in
And we
violation
contribute
of
a
the law,
document
is what you're
every
saying.
year to the Georgia Department of Audits indicating that we do not correspond to these definitions under state law.
Yes, you do.
And no policies have been
Yes,
adopted by the
you
Mayor
do.
Commission that have created sanctuary city status in
Sir,
Athens.
You need to resign.
One protocol that
Resign!
sometimes arises.
Resign!
They are pissed.
You allow
One protocol-
this to
You'd be pissed
happen,
too.
sir.
One protocol that
You
sometimes
voted for
arises,
this.
and I understand in the wake of a great tragedy like this, we are all deeply hurt, and everybody expresses their hurt differently.
Who voted? Who voted to make Athens Clarke County a sanctuary city?
Nobody voted for that.
Sir, who? What's their
What
name?
legislation were you talking about?
I'm an old man. My ears can only hear one thing at a time, and so I'm asking you, Claudia, if you'd repeat that question.
Yeah.
We wanna ask questions,
You mentioned
too.
something
Go
about
ahead, ma'am.
legislation earlier. I couldn't hear what you were saying because of the protest. Could you just repeat what you were saying about legislation?
I certainly will. There's been no legislation from this government that has created sanctuary city status. I also mentioned the prospect of federal legislation.
Giving it to you.
What I'd like to note is that here in
Good.
Athens, Clarke County,
This is what
center
we
our
need
work
to
in
do
the public
every time
sector.
one of these people, every time one of these George Soros funded fucking progressive shills for communist China comes out and speaks, this is what we need to do, right? We need to confront these people wherever they are and call them out and publicly dress them down.
You need to go, sir.
Admonish
we don't want
them.
to hear from you no more. You're not defending us. You're not upholding your
That guy
oath
looks
of
like Elon
office,
Musk.
sir. You are lawless. You are a criminal.
So your press members.
If non-members of the press
You are a
I'm press
criminal.
member
might
too.
be asked to
We,
leave.
The people. We created this government, and we pay your salary.
He's got a point.
You do what we want you to do, not what you want to do. That's the problem with this lawlessness in our country.
I want to say that we center our work here in Athens, Clarke County, in people's humanity. And part of everybody's humanity is the expectation
This
of human
is,
dignity.
if you're just joining
Well,
us, this
2019
is
was not that long ago.
a press conference from Athens, Georgia yesterday, where the mayor came out and said, hey, even though we shelter illegal immigrants from deportation in this city, we're not a sanctuary city because that's illegal under Georgia. And his citizens are admonishing him.
You might remember the dynamic we were living in the late teens in this country, where you had the President of the United States speaking in the most vile terms about people who were foreign born.
Orange man bad. So the reason why we had to be a sanctuary city here is because Orange man bad. Orange man bad. That's why Donald Trump killed this girl.
And you had that notion metastasizing in places like
This
Charlottesville.
is an invasion. When I was
So
younger,
when we
I
have-
was a criminal. And you know what I thought about doing? Crossing the border to Mexico to get away from my crimes.
Son, I'm going to ask you to
Thanks
leave.
Jesus Christ, he saved me, and I no longer live that lawless life, which you do.
What we wish to do is dignify everybody's humanity.
Thank
There's
you.
nothing in
Thank
that
you.
resolution
No, that's
that creates-
not the law. You
did
took
not
an
do
oath to
writing.
uphold the law, not your feelings or nor your opinion.
Now, I agree with this guy. You're supposed to uphold the law. You're supposed to do the job that you were elected to, not abuse your power to do what your heart tells you and your feelings tell you will make you all warm and fuzzy, right?
Chief, I don't know
You
if
called
that's
me
how
a
we're
white
doing folks.
supremacist.
No, sir. You're talking BS to us.
He is talking BS. Well, you know, the reason we had to do it is because Orange Man bad.
Right now.
I need to answer one question at a time.
Right here, sir. Alex
I'm going to continue my answer from a moment ago, and then I'll get it.
You called me a white supremacist in your resolution.
Yeah.
That was not nice to me, was it?
What-
Had enough, and
what we wish
have
to
a
do-
right to speak. This is America still.
Yeah, there.
family an apology for allowing that to happen in the first place.
We are deeply sorry for this tragedy.
It's your fault,
The
Mayor.
responsibility for this crime rests solely upon the perpetrator.
No,
Yeah, it's not my fault. It's the guy. It's Orange Man. He did this, guys. The evil Orange Man did all this. All right, now we have Joe Biden coming out
As my mother would say, please
in
excuse
Brownsville,
my back.
Texas.
I apologize.
He's appearing in front of Border Patrol,
Hello, folks.
and he's going to take credit. Here's my prediction. Joe Biden is going to take credit for the fall in border crossings in Texas now that Governor Abbott defied his orders and started protecting his own border. I'm going to gamble that Joe Biden's going to be like, look at how much border crossings have come down this month. I'm gonna put money on that.
Good afternoon. Before we start, I'd like to say a few words about the devastating wildfires
Exactly,
that are
fandom.
scorching Texas Panhandle and northwest Oklahoma. Yesterday, one of the biggest fire events in Texas history, with more than 1 million acres of Texas land burned. From the start,
Yeah, it
I
was probably
directed
set
my
on
team to do
fire by
everything
illegal
possible.
immigrants crossing with their little campfires getting out of control, right? How much do you want to bet that this fire was started by illegal border crossers? Just saying, right?
to help protect the people in the communities threatened by these fires. In response to specific requests made from the state, we already have more than 500 federal personnel here working on fire suppression. That includes the deployment of 100 federal firefighters and more on the way, as well as dozens of additional fire engines, air tankers, small planes, helicopters to help fight the flames. And FEMA has already guaranteed that Texas and Oklahoma will be reimbursed for the cost of keeping folks safe. And we're grateful for the brave first responders risking their lives to save others. And we urge folks to listen to the warnings from the local officials, listen to them. I've flown over a lot of these wildfires since I've been president. Matter of fact, I've been a helicopter in the west and the southwest and northwest.
He was a
Flown over
helicopter?
more land burned to the ground, all the vegetation gone. Then this entire
said he was a
burn to the
helicopter,
ground
didn't he?
In the west and the south. A lot of these wildfires since I've been president. Matter of fact, I've been a helicopter in the west and the southwest.
He has been a helicopter. That's what he said. Joe Biden just in. Breaking news. Breaking news. Joe Biden was once a helicopter. So not only is he Puerto Rican, Jewish, he got shot by Nelson Mandela or whatever, and he started the civil rights movement, but he was also a helicopter, guys. Joe Biden was a helicopter. Let's hear this breaking news again. Just so you know, I'm not making this up.
Wildfire since I've been president. Matter of fact, I've been a helicopter in the west.
He's been a helicopter.
Southwest and northwest, flown over more land burned to the ground, all the vegetation gone, than this entire state of Maryland in square footage. The idea there's no such thing as climate change, I love that, man. I love some of my Neanderthal friends who still think there's no climate change. Well, my administration is going to keep building
guys,
on the
because
progress we've made fighting.
let me tell you, there were never forest fires before 1957. In fact, forest fires have definitely not gotten less severe over the last 200 years. Oh, wait. Did you guys know that during the 1800s, there was a forest fire that burned across the middle of the United States for like a decade? Right? Like half of the country was on fire for like a decade. Look it up. Or maybe it was it was either the 17 or the 1800s. There was like a decades-long fire in the United States, right? But that was definitely caused by fossil fuels, guys.
Climate crisis, and we're going to help folks rebuild themselves in the wake of these disasters. And we rebuild to the standards that are
I do remember when
up-to-date
Biden
standards,
defeated
building codes and
Megatron.
the rest, because if you fly over these areas that are burned to the ground,
Yeah, if you can fly over them like the president helicopter can.
you'll see in the midst of 20
Joe Biden
homes
was
that
a
are just
helicopter.
totally destroyed, one home sitting there because it had the right roof on it. And anyway, since I took office, FEMA's provided Texas alone over $13 billion. $13 billion in 3 years in disaster relief after fires and winter storms across this state. And when disasters strike,
Wow. Well, if you're such an effective president, why have you spent $13 billion and according to you, everything's getting worse, right? So apparently your $13 billion worth of spending was ineffective because according to you now, just 2 minutes ago, A, you were a helicopter, and B, climate change is making things worse. So sounds to me like you don't know how to put your money into positions that will actually fix problems. It sounds like you're just making more problems.
there's no red state or blue state where I come from. They're just communities and families looking for help. So we're standing with everyone affected by these wildfires. We're going to continue to help you respond and recover. Now,
Hey, what's
turning
up?
to the purpose of my visit.
Oh, we got
I want to
JCW.
thank Congressman Gonzalez. There you are, pal. I thank him. I thank him for the passport into his district, but he's been a great partner. I also want to thank Mayor Cowan for his partnership.
That's all, folks.
I want to thank County Judge Trevino for over 30 local officials who've joined us here today. No one works harder for a safe, secure border than all of you. And Secretary Mayorkas has joined us today, and he's joined by 7 mayors in cities and towns across South Texas. 4 county judges here from across the state. I told the county judge that I used to be a county official. It's the hardest.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's why he became a senator, guys, because it was an easier job than being a county official.
Job in American politics. You know why? They think you can do everything, you don't have the budget. So anyway. And the 2 leaders from the Texas legislature, State House Leader Trey is here, Trey Martinez Fisher, and the State Senate Leader Carol Alvadero. And all the other local officials that are here today, I want to say thanks.
Ben,
Folks,
you're hilarious.
it's real simple. It's time to act. It's long past time to act. I just received a briefing from the Border Patrol at the border, as well as Immigration and Enforcement, asylum officers, and they're all doing incredible work under really tough conditions. Really tough conditions. They told me what you already know, and we already know. They desperately need more resources. Say it again, they desperately need more resources. They need more agents, more officers, more judges, more equipment in order to secure our border. Folks, it's time for us to move on this. We can't wait.
Well, if it was such a problem, then why on your first day did you cause all this? Why did you rescind the Trump policies? Why did you stop the border wall? Why did you cut funding to immigration? Huh? Why? If all these things are true.
Any longer. Folks, on my first day as president, I introduced a bill.
From your first day as president, you have done everything you can to push the maximum number of illegal immigrants through the border as you possibly could. You told them all that if you're elected president, that you will let them all come into the country, no questions asked. You said that in a debate.
I sent to Congress a comprehensive plan to fix the broken immigration system and to secure the border. But no action was taken. Then months ago, my team began a serious negotiation in a bipartisan group of senators, leading conservative Republicans and progressive Democrats. And it resulted in a compromise bill. It's the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen in this country. It's pretty basic.
So say you.
With this
I don't know. Is it tougher than you have to you have to apply for asylum in the first country that you get to? Is it tougher than remain in Mexico? I don't think so.
We could hire 1,500 additional border security agents, 1,500 additional officers. And between ports of entry.
They need more bullets.
For the last
is what they
4
need.
years, staffing has been roughly that, flat, just flat. Agents working overtime, spending long hours patrolling the border, making major sacrifices. And I know it takes a big toll on them and their families. That's why in December I signed a bill finally getting Border Patrol agents what I've been pushed by and reminded by the congressman, overtime pay they deserve. And finally getting overtime pay. I mean, it's ridiculous it took this long. It was a long past time, and I was proud to do it, but we need to do more. It's time to step up. It's time to step up, provide them with significantly more personnel
with the man in the mirror, Mr. President.
Capability. We also need more immigration judges to help handle the backlog. There are 2
help process
million
these illegals into the country faster, get them citizenship, and have them ready with voter registration cards before the November election.
cases.
That's the only way I can win.
Backlog of 2 million cases. This bipartisan deal would provide funding for 100 more immigration judges immediately. It would also establish new, efficient, and fair process for the government to consider asylum claims for those arriving at our border. Today, the process to get a decision on an asylum claim takes 5 to 7 years. Now, you all know it down here, but the people around the country don't understand it. It's far too long. You come in, you say I have a credible fear, and we've changed that standard to make it hard. We want to change to make it harder. And what happens? You say, well, okay, you can come in the country, but come back in 5 to 7 years, maybe as many as 8 years, and you'll get a hearing from before a judge to determine whether you can stay.
8 years is too long.
This will encourage more people.
I won't be president in 6 months. In 6 months from now, I won't even be president. We can't wait 8 years. We can only wait 3 months to get all these people naturalized and get them voter ID cards.
If they get by the first, they got another 5, 7, 8 years before they have to do anything, because they know they cannot handle the caseloads quickly, and they'll be able to stay in this country in the meantime. With new policies in this bill and the addition of 4,300 additional asylum officers, we'll be able to reduce that process to less than 6 months.
See?
That would have a
Because
serious
in 6
deterrent
months
effect
he won't
on
be
those
president
coming north.
anymore unless he gets all these illegals naturalized and given green cards. Right? Did I call it?
When the criminal gangs say, we'll get you
The
north,
fucker can't
it's
even
$8,000,
speak.
they say, no, wait, let me get this straight. I'm going to go north. It's going to cost me probably closer to $8,000, I guess, $1,000 equivalent. And I'm going to get there, and in 6 months they may be able to get rid of me. I don't know, man. 6 months, 7 years, 2 different things. The person who's thinking about entering the United States understands the cases to be decided in a few weeks or months.
No, but what will happen is that in 6 months they'll all be naturalized and given green cards. Yeah, no, they all believe that they're going to get in because you are changing the laws in such a way that makes it almost impossible not to qualify for asylum.
Instead of 5 to 7 years, they're less likely to come in the first place. They're not going to pay the cartels thousands of dollars to make that journey. Knowing that, it will be turned around quickly. Look.
Captain, it was only a war against the unvaccinated when the unvaccinated were Republicans. Now that the unvaccinated are future Democrat voters, vaccine lives don't matter anymore. What do you know?
And we also need more cutting-edge inspection machines to detect and stop fentanyl from entering the United States of America. A year ago, I stood at the border in El Paso, and I watched these machines at work. They were able to detect everything from fentanyl to weapons to people being smuggled in cargo containers. This compromised bill would provide an additional $424 million for 100.
Also, $80 billion to Ukraine. Don't forget that.
More of these machines and could save lives in the process. This compromise legislation will also give me as president, or the next president, emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border between ports of entry.
I don't
when the
like
numbers
that.
of immigrants and migrants,
I don't like giving more power to government, especially this fuck.
overwhelm the border, straining the Border Patrol's ability to process them. At the same time, at our legal ports of entry, like here in Brownsville, we're making investments in infrastructure. My bipartisan infrastructure law is going to provide nearly $4 billion new dollars to boost security, to ease waiting times at land and ports of entry like Brownsville. And I want to thank again Congressman Gonzalez for helping me get that through and get it passed as the law. That you get the money for example, that's how you got the money for the Gateway Bridge from that fund. Folks, the bipartisan border security deal is a win for the American people. And it's a win for the people of Texas, and it's fair for those who legitimately have a right to come here.
That's what it
to
was.
begin with.
It
It's
was
a win for the people
the
of
little
Brownsville.
Green New
I believe
Deal.
that's why the Border Patrol Union
It was only
endorsed it.
one of the $10 trillion
I believe that's why the
that
National
they
Chamber of Commerce, the National Chamber of Commerce endorsed it, not known as a Democratic organization with a capital D. Look, and that's why the Wall Street Journal endorsed it as well. This is a truly bipartisan initiative. That's why the bipartisan South Texas Alliance of Cities endorsed it. Folks, I didn't get everything I wanted in that compromise bipartisan bill, but neither did anybody else. A compromise is part of the process. That's how democracy works. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, well, tell that to yourself. You're the one that won't compromise.
Compromise is a very positive step on a critical issue for the country, all those issues for the country. And folks here in Brownsville and all along the border
does
know
this dude
that.
have brain damage?
We
Does he
need to
not
have their
realize
backs,
that
your
he
backs. I
is
want
the
the
one-
people
like-
to
Like he's pointing the finger at everyone saying, compromise, compromise, compromise. And they're like, okay, we're here to compromise. He's like, no, I won't budge an inch.
understand clearly what happened here. This bill was in the United States Senate. It was on its way to being passed. Then it was derailed by rank and file politics, partisan politics. The U.S. Senate needs to reconsider this bill. And those senators who oppose it need to set politics aside and pass it on the merits, not on whether it's going to benefit one party or benefit the other party.
Nobody wants to give you more money to kill more Ukrainians in a pointless war.
About whether it benefits the American people. It's what the American people deserve. The Speaker of the House needs to put this bill on the floor, because if he put it on the floor unrestricted, it would pass. The majority of Democrats and Republicans in both houses support this legislation until someone came along and said, don't do that, it'll benefit the incumbent. That's a hell of a way to do business in America for such a serious problem.
Yeah, just like Nancy Pelosi literally did the whole entire time she was Speaker of the House, right? Remember, we didn't get an infrastructure bill the whole time President Trump was in office because the Democrats were playing politics with roads and bridges.
We need to act. It's time for the speakers and some of my Republican friends in Congress who are blocking this bill to show a little spine.
Hey, what's up, Salty Gamer?
Pass a bipartisan remember, bipartisan. Conservative leaders supported this.
Yes, he
Border
did say
security bill.
emergency powers to shut
Let's
down the
remember
border,
who we
Captain.
work for God's sake. We work for the American people. Let me end with this. I understand my predecessor's an eagle pass today. So here's what I would say to Mr. Trump. Instead of playing politics with this issue, instead of telling members of Congress to block this legislation, join me, or I'll join you in telling the Congress to pass this bipartisan border security bill. We can do it together. You know and I know it's the toughest, most
Also
efficient,
known
most
as the
effective border
bipartisan
security
more
bill this
funding
country has
for
ever
the war machine in Ukraine, right? $80 billion, guys, goes to Ukraine, right? Like $10 billion goes to the border, right? More money goes to Hamas at $10.2 billion than goes to the border, right? This guy is full of shit.
seen.
More
So instead of
money
playing
goes
politics
to
with the issue, why don't we
Hamas
just
in
get
this
together
bill
and get it done?
than goes to the border.
Let's remember who the heck we work for. We work for the American people, not the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. We work for the American people. And let's remember who we are. We're the United States
Oh my
of
God, here
America.
comes the yelling.
No, I mean this. Think about this. There's nothing beyond our capacity. Nothing.
Old man yells at clouds.
When we work together. And if all things we should be working together on is this, we have the formula to get it done. God bless you all, and may God protect our Border Patrol and God protect our troops. Now I'd like to turn this over to Secretary Mayorkas. Thank you.
Okay, fuck this guy. We're not going to listen to this. We have actual news to cover. All right. So that's what's left of the president and his attempt to hold a press conference. We learned a lot of interesting things during this press conference. We learned that Joe Biden was a helicopter. That's pretty cool. He's a transformer, guys. No wonder he cares so much about trans rights. I mean, being a transformer and all. Now, yeah, I'm here all day, guys. Now, now, breaking news, guys. We have breaking news. Joe Biden at 81 did not take a cognitive test during his physical because he doesn't need it, says the White House. Yeah, and as we just saw, the president and former helicopter definitely doesn't need a fucking brain test. He definitely doesn't need a fucking cognitive test, guys. I mean, the man just thinks he was a helicopter once, but he definitely doesn't need a cognitive test, right? Now, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre confirmed Wednesday that President Joe Biden did not take a cognitive exam as a part of his annual physical. His doctor, including the neurologist, do not believe that he needs one, she said. That's great. That's the best joke I've heard all day. Worst helicopter ever. Now, the White House confirmed President Joe Biden did not take a cognitive test during his annual physical on Wednesday. Guys, remember when they were saying that Trump needed to take a cognitive test or they're going to like invoke the 25th Amendment or something? Right? Because like he slipped going down a ramp. He slipped, but he didn't fall. Going down a wet ramp. They said he had brain damage. This motherfucker gets up here and tells you he used to be a helicopter. And nobody bats an eye. Yeah, exactly, fandom. Exactly. She dismissed the need for cognitive despite the Department of Justice calling him an elderly man with a poor memory in the special counsel's report. His doctor, including the neurologist, do not believe that he needs one, Jean-Pierre said at Wednesday's press briefing. She responded, folks need to understand that the president passes a cognitive test every day. Well, can we see the results? Because what we see is him epically failing that cognitive test. If what you're saying is the job as president is his cognitive test, then no, honey, he epically fails it in one of the best ways that he possibly could, live on TV. Given that there's been so much scrutiny, why not just have his doctor administer the test? A reporter asked after Biden went to Walter Reed for his annual health checkup. His doctor, including the neurologist, do not believe that he needs one, Jean-Pierre added. A team of 20 doctors, including the White House physician, were present for the exam at Walter Reed. That's their assessment, she added. Yeah, I believe that. I bet you they were all Democrat hacks. No shit, it is total bullshit. If anyone ever needed a cognitive test, it's the President of the United States. Right now. His brain no worky. He just told us all that he was a helicopter. Now, the House did pass a short-term deal to avert the government shutdown. The stopgap, referred to as a continuing resolution, will be Congress's fourth extension since the original funding deadline in September. This time, however, lawmakers appear to be making significant progress toward a long-term agreement for the nation. The extension lawmakers passed on Thursday was contingent on a prior pact that would provide a massive tranche of government funding. That money is now slated to expire on March 8th under the new continuing resolution. The remainder is scheduled to expire on March 22nd. We are in agreement that Congress must work on a bipartisan matter to fund our government. So that's what they're saying. Now, remember last week how they were saying like Russia was going to nuke us from outer space or something? Well, turns out China's threat from space is growing at a breathtaking pace. Beijing is gaining tech to disrupt U.S. satellites, target forces. Space Command Chief speaks in Senate hearing on Thursday. That'll actually be very interesting. I would like to, I'm probably going to watch that. We might stream it. Hey, what's up, Girl Gone Dog? Oh, we're not allowed to read it. Well, just let it be known. The Chinese have anti-satellite capabilities. They have satellite communications jamming capabilities. And they probably have weapons platforms in space, although I don't know that for sure. I'm assuming they have kinetic weapons, like railguns and things like that. But I don't know that they have lasers in space. I know we do. Now, activists descend on Atlanta, warning of serious consequences if lawmakers don't back $80 billion in reparations, despite a cash crunch in Georgia's hospital and prison systems. Activists want a task force to tally up compensation for slavery-era abuses. Conservatives say they're already struggling to keep hospitals and jails open. Anti-racism activists. Anti-racism. And we all know that the tenets of anti-racism is the solution to racism in the present. No, wait. I'm sorry. The solution to racism in the past is racism in the present. Okay? That's their tenet. Okay? Anti-racism activists descended on Atlanta on Thursday to push lawmakers to back their $80 billion reparations package, warning of serious political consequences if they don't get their way. Anquist Cosby with Reparations Push and others want House politicians to create the Georgia Equity and Fairness Commission, which would devise a compensation package for the descendants of slaves. Republicans oppose the plan, saying it's not fair to single out one group for payments, especially when Georgia's cash-strapped hospitals are shuttering and the state's overcrowded prisons need more space. Georgia could be looking at, with economic compensation policies and laws to protect us and forgiveness of debts, it could be upwards of $80 billion, Cosby told Daily Mail. But it's not just a check. This is about being independent as people, again, within the nation and being able to help the United States. Yeah, being able to help the United States with crippling inflation and rampant disorder, right? Yeah, it is. It's March tomorrow, yes. March tomorrow. The bill is sponsored by State Representative Roger Bruce and is also supported by the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, the Georgia NAACP, and the Urban League of Greater Atlanta. Hubert Bass, a campaigner with the Afro descendant nation, warned in a statement of serious political consequences. So, guys, they're making threats of political violence if they don't get their $80 billion because of slavery. Now, why Moldova's breakaway Transnistria region is asking Russia for protection. In early 2022, a series of unexplained explosions in Moldova's breakaway region of Transnistria raised fears that Russian President Vladimir Putin had plans to take his war in Ukraine to the landlocked country to its southeast. Almost 2 years later, Transnistria has raised a new alarm with an appeal to Russia for protection from what it calls economic coercion from Moldova's pro-Western government. So, what is Transnistria? Transnistria is a sliver of land that runs roughly between the Dniester River in eastern Moldova and the border with Ukraine. It covers about 4,200 square kilometers, or about 12% of Moldova, one of Europe's poorest countries. The mainly Russian-speaking enclave is home to roughly 400,000 people. The government based in Moldova's capital, Chisinau, says 360,000 of them are Moldovan citizens. The rest of Moldova has some 2.6 million people. So you're looking at roughly 18% of the country in terms of population. Now, here's the map, right? So you have Moldova, you have Ukraine, you have the Black Sea, and along the border with Ukraine, we have this Transnistria. That's it? I guess that's it. Oh, wait. Let's see here. So, I read this part earlier, and what it's saying is that Transnistria has been trying to join Russia since the 1990s. They've been trying to join Russia since the late 1990s, guys. So there's that. What's the bigger picture? Russia supports a string of separatist regions in former Soviet republics, using them as leverage over pro-Western governments in what it considers its sphere of influence. Russia-backed separatists have partly controlled the Donetsk and Luhansk areas of Ukraine's Donbass region since 2014, and Putin officially recognized them as a precursor to deploying troops there at the beginning of his full-scale invasion of Ukraine. So Putin bad. Orange Man and Putin's both bad. Hey, what's up, blind dude? Jewish space lasers and Popeye's chicken. Yeah, I love Popeye's chicken. Church's, I think, is better, though. I would rather have Church's chicken. It's so good. Okay, so that's pretty much it. German warship accidentally opened fire on an American drone, nearly costing the U.S. another Reaper in its Red Sea fight. So, a German warship accidentally tried to shoot down a U.S. military combat drone. The frigate Hessen targeted the MQ-9 Reaper as it was on a mission around the Red Sea. A malfunction stopped Germany's missiles from striking the drone. I don't know what is worse. That the Germans tried to fire on us or that their missiles broke. Neither one of those are very good outcomes. KFC all the way. Ew. Oh my God, KFC has gotten nasty. I don't know. KFC hasn't been good since like 1996. In my opinion. Every time I've had KFC in the last 20 years, I have been disappointed. It used to be good. Here in Cincinnati, we have Lee's famous recipe, and it is so fucking good. If you guys ever get a chance to come to Cincinnati, you got to get yourself Lee's famous recipe chicken. It is so fucking good. You'll crave it for the rest of your life. That's all we care about that. Now, okay, so here's what happened. Under Justin Trudeau watch, the People's Republic of China and its entities, including the People's Liberation Army, were allowed to infiltrate Canada's top-level biolab. They were able to transfer sensitive intellectual property and dangerous pathogens to the People's Republic of China. Based on its own assessment, the Liberal government allowed a person who is a very serious and credible danger and a realistic and credible threat to Canada's economic security to access and compromise our country's top-level lab, which works with some of the world's most dangerous viruses, such as Ebola. This is a massive national security failure by Justin Trudeau and his Liberal government, which he fought tooth and nail to cover up, including defying 4 parliamentary orders and taking the House of Commons Speaker to court. He cannot be trusted to keep our people and our country safe. Common sense conservatives are studying every single page of these explosive documents and will not stop until Canadians know the truth about this unprecedented and terrifying security breach. Now, so that's what's happening in Canada. Justin Trudeau is a commie collaborator who weaponized the government against his opposition in order to cover up his crimes of transferring intellectual property, including deadly virus research, to the communist Chinese. Is anyone surprised? Is anyone surprised that Trudeau works hand in hand with the communist Chinese? I'm definitely not. His policies all resemble those that Beijing themselves would enact. I don't know. I don't know where Hillbilly is. Nobody gets my notifications anymore. They don't. Even if you have all your notifications turned on, you will not get any notifications about my shows. Now, the most recent poll we have here, guys. 41% approve of Biden. Only 18% strongly approve. 38% strongly disapprove, with 54% total disapprove of Joe Biden. In a race with Trump, Kennedy, Cornel West, and Jill Stein, Donald Trump would win by 2 points. You get notified? Awesome. A lot of people are complaining that they don't get notified, though. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know. They don't notify me of my own shows, unfortunately. Yeah. So, Looks like the more they persecute and attack Donald Trump, the better he does politically. Who would have ever saw that coming? I wouldn't have. I would have thought that people were too stupid to see through the bullshit. But apparently I'm wrong. And that's awesome. That is awesome. That's actually good news for this country. Is that people can see through all the bullshit and lies. Yeah. We are fucked, guys. Nothing good is going to happen. There will be no election. There will be war. I sure hope not. I sure hope that that doesn't happen, blind dude. I mean, you know, we are at war right now. We're at war with these social media companies and this liberal, not even liberal, these progressives that want to take away your right to free speech, that want to take away your right to air your grievances with the government, right? That want to censor political speech that they don't agree with, right? Like they're doing to me. That's why I need your support, guys. If you guys, want to support the channel, I dropped some links into the chat. That way you guys can help the channel out. That would be awesome. You have so much lead. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Right? It would not be cool. A civil war, although it sounds romantic, would be terrible. The last one killed about 1 million people. They didn't even have, they did have Gatling guns, but they were just invented, right? They weren't in widespread use, right? We've got fucking cluster bombs now. Imagine that. Imagine the devastation. Flour and lead. That's awesome. Your local KFC has super greasy. I like it when it's greasy. I like greasy KFC. It doesn't taste it. Something changed about it, and it's not the same as it was when I was a kid. Or maybe I've changed. I don't know. It's funny how that works. All right, guys, that's going to be it. I will see you around next time. Peace.